Welcome everyone to the latest edition of iSport Connect TV, looking at the impact of Russia's war on sport in the countdown to the Paris Olympic Games, set to be the biggest sporting event ever staged. I'm Michael Pirrie, thanks for joining us. The second anniversary of Russia's cataclysmic war on Ukraine marks a new and ominous phase in the conflict and its influence on world sport. After already disrupting several of the world's premier sporting occasions, the war is poised to have its most dramatic impact on sport in the countdown to the Paris Games. The lead up to Paris 2024 is taking place amid growing security fears in NATO and amongst the governments, governing bodies and Olympic nations and committees of Europe closest to the war's epicentre. The recent effective assassination of Russia's hero freedom fighter Alexei Navalny has further heightened concerns about Russia's involvement in international affairs and events. Putin's refusal to stop the slaughter means the war and the Olympic Games are on a seemingly unstoppable collision course. It's now increasingly evident the world's premier sporting event dedicated to peace will take place on a continent at war. French President Macron is again playing a larger role in helping to address Europe's war crisis, while also involved in the massive diplomatic and organisational build-up for the Games, sport's global centrepiece involving more than 205 nations and territories. While I vividly recall the massive security overlay we had in place for the London 2012 Olympics, with surface-to-air missiles strategically located around the Stratford Olympic Park site, Paris and France will be blanketed by the biggest land, sea and air security operation of modern times. Security will be unprecedented in order to protect the public and Games athletes, officials, visitors and venues from protests and possible fallout from Putin's end-of-the-world doomsday scenarios threatening Ukraine and the West. 2 years on from the invasion, sport continues to reveal the extent and inhumanity of Putin's war, which has killed more than 360 Ukraine athletes and coaches, with thousands more fighting in the armed forces, as well as kidnapping thousands of Ukraine's children and capturing US Olympic basketballer Brittney Griner. The Kremlin has also sought to capture and seize control of key sporting bodies in Ukraine, leading to the suspension of Russia's Olympic Committee by the IOC. While Olympic leaders have argued strongly that athletes are not responsible for government policies, divisions and tensions remain over sports' roles and responsibilities in wake of the horrifying suffering inflicted by Russia. The unrelenting war crimes and atrocities could harden opposition to plans for neutral athletes from Russia to compete in Paris. The mounting death toll and destruction could also define the Games in historic ways, with Russian athletes currently banned from track and field, the most important sport at the Games, although this could change. Russia has triggered the biggest land conflict in Europe since the Second World War, but Putin could not prevent the IOC, national Olympic committees, world governing bodies and federations and governments from rallying around Ukraine, providing shelter, security and support to stricken sports communities. The IOC's Olympic Rescue Mission for Ukraine's athletes reflects the spirit of solidarity and hope from sport that organisers believe the Paris Games can bring to the world in turbulent times. While the international community has recently marked the second anniversary of Ukraine's harrowing loss of life, sacrifice and fearless bravery, the Paris Olympics is building as a much-needed, life-affirming occasion that cuts through the darkness of Putin's death and destruction and promotes the importance of peace to the nations of the world, gathered for the Games in the land of liberty, equality and fraternity. You can follow all the major business news and developments in world sport at isportconnect.com. I'm Michael Pirrie, thanks for joining us.